What's up, guys? It's GUA here, and I got a big announcement. I'm announcing GUA's Upset Cup number 4. It's an Age Jumpers 4 1v1 tournament. It's going to be over 2 days, August 13th and August 14th. But before we get into more of the details, we're going to take a step back and figure out how we got here and what this is all about. So, I don't know if you guys are in the loop, but I've been hosting tournaments. I host tournaments like every so often in AOE 4. I was hosting some like USA Cups. Those were really fun. And now like the new thing I started doing was I was hosting tournaments called like GUA's Upset Cup. And very quick summary of it is that essentially it gives the worst player a better chance at winning. So, you know, in most tournaments, we always see like the same people always winning or going really far, right? Like the Beasties, the Marine Lords, the Whams, the Pup Calls. And yeah, it's fun. Like I'm rooting for those guys, but it sometimes gets a little stale seeing like the same people win, and or if you're just seeing like a round of 8 match and it's BC versus like a top 16 player or something, it's like, oh well, BC's gonna win, or like Marine Lord's obviously gonna win, right? It takes a little bit of the excitement away when it's kind of so one-sided. So yeah, I basically came up with a tournament format that kind of flips everything around a bit. So basically the whole concept is that like in the first round, say in like the round of 32, BC's the much better player, so he has the higher seed. He gets 0 civ bans, and the person that he's playing versus, who's a worse player, that guy gets to ban 20 civilizations of BC. So basically, BC has to play a best of 3 with the worst 3 civilizations in the entire game. And the guy who's, you know, a bit worse, maybe like the 16th best player in the world, that guy gets to play the best 3 civilizations in the entire game. So that's like the whole kind of concept of the tournament, where basically the lower seed player, the guy who's like not the favorite to win, he gets to ban a bunch of civilizations from the very good player, where like the very good player doesn't get any civ bans. And it varies a little bit depending on like the round, but that's like the general concept of the idea. And it's supposed to obviously give the lower seeded players a much better chance at winning or going further in a tournament than they typically would. So I think it makes for a lot of like wild excitement. And also you see like the best players in the world, they're usually never playing like the worst civilizations in the game in a tournament because it wouldn't make sense. But now they're forced to play as like the worst civs. So it's cool to see them playing as like some of the weaker civilizations, and to see them like still win, still beat like 2K ELO players with like the worst civ in the game is entertaining, right? So yeah, that's the concept of these tournaments. And basically it started off with GUA's Upset Cup. This was the first one I ever did. It was a $300 tournament. Looks like this was in April. Yeah, only like 4 months ago, or not even 4 months ago. So yeah, this was $300 tournaments. Spoiler alert, I'm going to show the results for all 3 tournaments so far. We're just going to look at the Wikipedia page and go over the results. So if you don't want to see the results, you can skip to the later part of this video, where I'm going to cover the new tournament, GUA's Upset Cup. We'll go over the rules and everything for the new tournaments. That's going to be happening in about 10 days. But yeah, otherwise, let's look at the results of GUA's Upset Cup number 1. All right, so we had Anaton taking first place with a $150 prize pool, B taking second, and Wham and Puppy taking third and fourth. We do payouts to the top 4, at least in this one we did. We had a good turnout here. We had 32 players sign up, which was really cool to see. And this one, the rules weren't as drastic. I didn't have as many bans because this was the first time I ever did it, so I didn't know how to gauge it. And you'll see like the next tournament was called GUA's More Upset Cup, so I made the rules like more intense, and then I did GUA's Completely Upset Cup, where the rules were like the most extreme possible, where in the last one, this one was when you had 20 civ bans compared to the better player having 0. So I've scaled it up more and more to give like the underdog a better chance at winning. And yeah, these tournaments have been really fun. It seems like everyone that's participated in them, and the people that have watched them, have like really enjoyed these tournaments. It's obviously, it's not meant to be like a super competitive mode. We have like the standard EGC TV tournaments for main AOE 4 competitiveness, but I do really like this style because it's a little bit different from a normal competitive tournament. However, it doesn't like break the game, right? Some people will sometimes do tournaments where I don't know, like a player starts with like less villagers or something, but then that kind of like breaks an actual game. Here, it's just it's still like BC playing as a normal civilization, right? Maybe he's playing as Jin Dynasty, the worst worst of in the game, and he's playing versus a 2K ELO player who's playing as the Oddman, the best of in the game. But they're starting. It's still like a normal match, right? It's still the Oddman versus like um, Jin Dynasty. So when the game starts, it's normal. It's not like some weird super gimmicky rules where like a player has a handicap or anything like that. It's just a player has a worse civilization. So I really like that concept. Yeah, and yeah, so back to the results. Yeah, we went over the results here in GUA's Upset Cup. This was the first one. Yeah, we had 32 players. Let's see, there weren't a ton of upsets, so I kept going more and more intense, but yeah, we had some interesting showings. I'm not going to go through the whole brackets. Newman making it decently far, but yeah, and this one, yeah, this was, I think, definitely the least amount of upset. So let's go to GUA's More Upset Cup. So this was in April 29th, which was only, I think, like a few weeks after the first one. Or maybe, oh no, it was the very next week. Yeah, I think this was when I was trying to do them like back to back to back. So it looks like this was a $200 prize pool. So I went from 300 to 200. And by the way, these tournaments are only possible because of the community. So if you guys do want to support these tournaments, you guys can donate. I'll have a link to donate down below in the description of the video. Obviously, you know, you don't have to donate if you don't want to. Obviously, you can still watch the tournament and enjoy it. But if you have some extra money or you're willing to donate, then you can help fund the tournaments. I'd really appreciate it. You know, I'm hosting these tournaments, so I stream them on my Twitch channel. I've been thinking if I should compete in one. I think I'm kind of going back and forth in my head, but this next one, I think I'm just gonna stream it. So yeah, but maybe like a future one, maybe I would compete in it and also host it, because it would be fun to compete in it. But I think for this next one, I'm going like really all out for it. I think I should just cast it. But yeah, essentially I'm just the person that hosts it, I organize it, I cast it, and then the money comes from people that donate, community members. So you know, these tournaments are not possible at all without your guys' help. So yeah, obviously I really appreciate it. I think there's like one tournament where I had to put a little bit of my own money in towards it, but not much at all. um yeah, so consider donating if you can. If not, no problem, just vibe out and watch it. All right, and this was GUA's More Upset Cup. Anton won. He won. What, he won back-to-back tournaments here. Anton won the first two Upset Cups. Newman taking a second place, which was really cool to see. Like, look at this. Newman beat B in the quarterfinals. Now that's an upset. Newman's a great player, but he beat, man, Newman popped off. He beat 2-1 goalie, then he 2-1's B, and 2-1's Wham. Like, those are all tough opponents, obviously, especially B and Wham. Like, insane performance from Newman. You know, in fact, Newman's in second place in the tournament. Really cool to see. You have a lot of like good players. This time there was less people that signed up, unfortunately, but still a great event. And then we went to GUA's Completely Upset Cup. This one was 300. So I guess I believe the totals are correct. I could always look through my records, but yeah, it looks like we did 300, 200, and then 300s. In the most recent one, and this time we finally got BC to compete in one. This was the third one, and this, of course, this was the only one that Anton did not compete in. So he won the first two, but then he did not compete in the third one. So I'm hoping Anton, he's got to compete in the fourth one to try to hold down his title. BC will be defending the title as the last winner, but Anton having the most wins in a GUA Upset Cup. So yeah, this was the GUA's Completely Upset Cup with the most intense rules yet, and we had BC taking first with $150, Puppy Paul taking second with $100, and then look at this, like third, fourth place players. These guys are both very good players, but they probably like never really place or like win money in the EGC tournaments. Maybe in the ones where like they pay out top 16, but like these guys are good and they can place top 16 maybe in a tournament, but especially not Nasu, who also known as Creator. He's really good player on the rise. But it's cool to see these guys are, you know, they typically wouldn't place like third and fourth in a tournament, or maybe even cash out in a tournament, depending on how deep the cash outs are, you know. So like that's awesome to see. Like I'm glad that you know, getting these players to win. And yeah, so this one was the most intense one. We had a huge upset. This dude who's like, I think he's like 1900 ELO player, ended up 2-0ing Wham, which is wild, right? And that's like the whole concept of this, right? It makes it where if this was a regular tournament and you had Wham versus a 1900 ELO player in an EGC tournament, you'd be like, okay, there's like a 99% chance that Wham's gonna win. And you almost like don't even have to watch the series because you already know what the results are. But in this tournament style, like that's not the case, right? Wham's playing versus like a 1900 ELO player, but he ends up losing 2-0 because he had to play as the worst three civilizations when his opponent played as the best three civilizations. So I feel like it adds such a cool element of like you literally just don't know who's gonna win. Even like BC versus Jiff, this was like super big one. I didn't know who was the favorite because BC had to play as the worst three civs, and Jiff had played as the best three civs. And Jiff is like a 2,100 ELO player. Like a lot of people were thinking that maybe BC would lose, and so it's such a fun aspect. I feel like with this tournament style. Yeah, so these were the results for the third one. And now let's get into the new announcements. All right, GUA's Upset Cup 4. And I've gone more polished. I polished this tournament more than any other ones. You know, I actually make like I made a nice like Google Doc here, like handbook essentially, better than like the previous handbooks. So I'm basically trying to make it like more polished, and I'm also trying to get more of the competitive players in these tournaments. Ideally, I want to raise the prize pool so it makes sense for the competitive players to compete in these tournaments. And I want the big streamers to compete in them. I want to see BC competing in all of them. I want to see Demu streaming and him competing. Like I want to see Wham and Puppy. I'd want to get like as many competitive players as possible playing these. And one of the other things I didn't mention is that these tournaments are always like during the week. I've been having them like every Wednesday. This I moved the dates around a little bit. So this tournament will be on August 13th and August 14th. So that's Thursday and Friday. And I'm gonna make the schedules like a little bit flexible if some players like we're for sure starting on August 13th at 17 GMT. But if and then yeah, we'll most likely finish on the 14th. But I'm gonna work with players' schedule. We're trying to keep it polished and on schedule. It's for sure starting at 17 GMT on 13th. Or am I rambling? But yeah, I'm making this one like more polished than ever. I want to get as many good players in it as possible. And you know, who knows? Like maybe this like catches on and I start doing these tournaments more on a regular basis, and maybe we get like higher viewership. And I don't know, like the far stretch goal that I don't even know if I'm trying for it, but like a far stretch goal would be, oh, maybe we do this on a regular basis, we get good numbers, and then we pitch this to Microsoft and we say, hey, like, would you guys be interested in funding these tournaments? Like it's similar, you know, what happened to like the KP tournaments, Killer Pigeon. You know, he got some Microsoft funding. I don't know if Crackety ever did, but you know, that would be like an interesting thing. Like, I don't know, maybe I try to do that at some point, right? Especially if these start getting more popular. So yeah, it's all going to be basically up to the community members. It's me up to you guys, because you guys are initially funding this to, you know, get off the ground so that we can host these tournaments. And yeah, we'll see where it goes. Who knows? And also, obviously, we hope for the viewership to be as good as possible. But yeah, my goal is to have a $500 prize pool for this tournament. I think that's pretty realistic. Last one I said was 300. Yeah, like 300 would be the bare minimum, but I like 500. I might even put some of my own money if we don't hit the goal. But I feel like we can hit 500 through some of the people I've been talking to that are interested in sponsoring the tournaments. And yeah, if you guys want to sponsor a tournament and you also want like a shout out, I could give you guys like a shout out just during the stream. Just, you know, shout out your Twitch username or something, just saying like thank you for sponsoring the tournaments. So yeah. Let's go through the handbook, I guess. So yeah, it's an Age of Empires 4 1v1 tournament. It's gonna be over 2 days. You can watch live on my Twitch channel. I'll be like the main caster. There'll probably be a bunch of other people streaming. They'll probably be streaming their point of view. There may be other people streaming the event with them casting the event also, which I'm cool with. That's fine. You know, I'm all about the AOE 4 community. Just making the game as fun and as good as possible. And but yeah, I do want to like ideally be like the main caster. Yeah, I'll be casting. I don't know. Anyway, so tournament August 13th, starting at 17 GMT, yeah, and then semifinals and the finals will be on the 14th. I don't know if I mentioned the tournaments are during the week. So I kind of like that aspect because a lot of the EGC tournaments, they're always on weekends, and I don't know, maybe like the older you get in life, like I don't want to throw my weekends away to play a video game always, and like I don't want to like stay inside to stream for like 8 hours on a weekend. The older you get, uh, the more precious your time gets, I suppose. So I don't know. And plus, like how my work schedule works, like a lot of times I'm just off during the week, so it kind of makes sense for me for multiple reasons to like host these events on weekdays. Who knows, maybe I'll like do a weekend tournament in the future at some point, but I do really enjoy doing them during the week. It just works really good with my schedule. Yeah. All right, so I'll probably do payouts to the top 4 players, just like I did every single tournament. Obviously, depending on how much money we raise for this, will depend how much people get paid. But yeah, we're hoping for at least $500. I would probably set like a cap. Like I think an absolute cap would be like $1,000 for this tournament. I don't even know if I would want to go up to that high, but say like in some hypothetical scenario, people donate like $1,500. I would then cap this tournament at $1,000, and then the $500 extra would go towards a future event. Because obviously, like yeah, I should have mentioned all of your donations, like 100% of the donations will go towards the tournament prize pool. So, yeah, if we like exceed the $1,000, then we would put it towards the future events. Tournament participation requirements. I do have like all max bans, so yeah, basically you have to have all DLCs to be able to compete in this tournament. Most competitive players do, or maybe they could like play on someone else's account or something to. But yeah, I mean this is mostly like very competitive, like top 16, 30 players. So, yeah, you must own all DLCs in order to compete in the tournament, and then you must be at least Conqueror 1 rank Conquer 1 or higher, or finish Conquer 1 in the previous season to compete in this tournament. I think it just makes sense. Like, yeah, it just makes sense to have a limit as like Conquer 1. And then, yeah, seeding is going to be based off of like ATR and ranked DLO. This does not count as an ATR event, so I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like the ranking system for AOE for competitive players that determines like what seeds they get in tournaments. So since the rules are so weird, it doesn't make sense for this to count towards ATR because that would affect their like seeding in the main S tier tournament. So yeah, it's just not an ATR event. All right, and then round of 32, round of 16, and round of 8 are best of 3. Semifinals are best of 5. Finals are a best of 7. And here are the Civ drafts. Let's see if I can click on them so we can see the madness. I probably have to exit this. Here we go. So yeah, let's. Oh no, is it gonna? I can hopefully probably backspace. But yes, this is the madness. So in the round of 32, the round of 16, and the round of 8, we'll have the same Civ draft. The lower seed player will ban 20 civilizations, and the better seed player gets 0 civs. So it's going to be the best 3 civilizations versus the worst 3 civilizations. So the BC is going to have to play as like the worst 3 civilizations, and whoever BC plays versus will get to play as the best 3 civilizations. So yeah, makes it super wild. And that's going to go all the way up to the round of 8. So it's going to get really wild. Like round of 32, you might have like a Marine Lord as a 1 seed versus like the 16th best player in the world. Maybe Marine Lord still squeezes by easily, but it's going to be so interesting. I think this is the first time I'm doing it for 3 rounds in a row. Or no. Last tournament I did it for a round of 16 and a round of 8, but we didn't have a round of 32 because there weren't enough people signed up for round of 32. This time I'm really hoping we do. I think we will get at least 32, and I think that's going to increase the amount of upsets because there's a chance that some of the really good players will lose in the round of 32, and then that will make like the seeding weirder for the round of 16. So it's just going to create more chaos, which I think is going to be awesome. So yeah, that should be super wild. Dooch. All right, semifinals Civ draft. So I changed this up a little bit. So now the semifinals, the worst player will get 5 Civ bans. I misspoke a little bit. The better player will get 5 Civ bans. The worst player will get 10 Civ bans. So basically, one person gets to ban 10 Civs. The other person gets to ban 5 Civs. So you have a 5 Civ advantage if you're the underdog, and then you're gonna alternate picks. Yep, so just one person will have a 5 civ advantage, 5 civ ban advantage. So that's for the semifinals, and then I believe, I mean, the finals is the exact same. Yeah, I guess we just look at it, but it's about finals is the best of 7, but it's the same concept where you have 5 civ bans, the other person has 10 civ bans, so the underdog has a 5 civ ban advantage. And I like that. I think that's pretty polished, like semifinals and finals, similar rules. And then Civ Picker is just basic. You pick your Civ, you can't see what your opponent picks, and then it just reveals. And the interesting thing with this format is that picks are non-global, so there's a chance that you can pick the same exact Civ, which is pretty cool. We haven't seen mirrors in EGC tournaments or like AOE4 tournaments since like the launch days, right? It's still kind of rare for mirrors to happen, but there's a chance we can get a mirror, which I think is just, you know, going to be cool. I get that most people don't like mirrors, but when you haven't seen a mirror in like literally 3 years, I think then it's like, oh shit, maybe this is like cool to see something we never see, right? Or just to see the weird matchups. And then let me know what you guys' thoughts are about this. Let me know what your thoughts are on the entire tournament format. But the last tournament, I added a lot of weird maps that are in the game. They're official maps, but they're just very strangely balanced and have super weird spawns. And I really enjoyed it because it was just hilarious to see like the pro players play on these kind of like bad maps that just have kind of weird balance issues. They just look super weird, and it was just like hilarious. Like every Twitch viewer would join the stream and be like, "What the fuck is this map?" Like it's just like so weird that it's just hilarious. Um, and I was debating making this tournament. I was like, should I go back to standard maps? Or should I stick with like the crazy maps? And I went through like every single map in AOE4, and I noticed that there's still a decent amount of crazy maps that I didn't use in the last tournament. So I was like, all right, I gotta do at least one more tournament with the crazy maps. Some of them are less, you know, crazy than others, as you guys will see. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. And then when I was doing the map pool, I was thinking about having like a map ban where like the underdog just picks the 3 maps, but then I was like, maybe they'll always pick the same 3 maps. And I want to try to showcase every map, right? So I've how many maps did I put? So I've done the maps are Dungeon, Turtle Ridge, Glade, Haywire, Hedge Maze, Canyon, and Snake River. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 maps. Finals will be a best of 7. So in finals, you know, you'd play each map once. And yeah, I want to showcase all of these maps throughout the tournament. So I decided not to have any map drafts and just determine the map. So in round of 32, game 1 for all series will be played on Turtle Ridge, which this is going to be super interesting. And then game 2 will be played on Snake River. Game 3 will be played on Glade. So, and then round of 16 will have a different. Game 1 will be Canyon. Game 2 will be Dungeon. Game 3 will be Haywire. And then also last tournament, I like experimented with the map biomes, which I also thought was really cool. Like, there's so much cool content in AOE4 that like we don't really show the community. Like on the EGC streams, like there's some map biomes that look really cool. Like the one Halloween map biome, Hallow's Hearth, is like so cool looking, and it's a little sad that like we don't showcase all of the cool content in AOE4 as much as we could. So this is like the perfect tournament to like throw out some of these weird map biomes that like some of them kind of look, you know, maybe look better or like hard on your eyes, but it's just different. And it's you know, I like seeing different stuff. It's boring to see like Dry Arabia on the same map biome for the 10,000th time, right? Like the variety is cool. So yeah, all the games in round of 32 will be played on Alpine Spring. All the games in round of 16 will be played on Black Sand map biome. Round of 8, all games will be played on Hollow's Hearth map biome. Game 1 will be played on Hedge Maze. Game 2 will be played on Turtle Ridge. And Game 3 will be played on Snake River. Man, just saying these names, I'm getting hyped for this tournament because it's going to be fucking hilarious to cast this tournament, to watch this tournament. I even enjoyed, I went back and I watched BC's Twitch VOD back, and it's just hilarious to see like BC's reactions and like BC's Twitch chat to see everyone's reactions. Like people would just slowly come into the stream as the tournament's going on, and every Twitch chatter would be like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like it was just so funny, and I think a lot of the Twitch chat felt the same way, where they enjoyed like the weirdness of it, and it just became like a fun event. And in the semifinals, all games will be played on Gobi Desert map biome. Game 1 will be played on Canyon. Game 2 will be played on Turtle Ridge. Game 3, Hedge Maze. Game 4, Snake River. Game 5, Glade. And then the finals, all games will be played on Temperate Fall map biome. Game 1 will be played on Hedge Maze. Game 2 will be played on Turtle Ridge. Game 3 will be played on Snake River. Game 4 will be played on Glade. Game 5 will be played on Haywire. Game 6 will be played on Dungeon. And Game 7 will be played on Canyon. So the standard versions will be used for all these maps. No modded maps, no EGC mod maps. They're just the maps that exist in the game, right? And there are like DLC maps, but you know, you have to have all the DLCs to compete in the tournament. And I do have a rule for like restarts. So when you use unique map items, I think it can sometimes make balance issues, even on like a Dry Arabia. And we're also using very weird maps that spawn like super weird, and they have the chance to spawn incredibly imbalanced, but that's like the funny aspect of it, and you know, that's just kind of the aspect of it. I think AoE 2 maps are kind of like that. I think AoE 2 maps have gotten better over the years, but I think a big part of like AoE 2's identity was that all the maps would be super chaotic, and yes, a lot of times maps would be very imbalanced, but it was more like, let's go with the chaotic spawns for the randomness, even though it may some be a little bit imbalanced. I think over time they adjusted more to closer to more balanced maps, which makes sense. But yeah, so with that said, there's gonna be imbalanced maps, right? One player might have like 2 hunts, and the other player is like 1 hunt, or the second hunt's like super far away. That's part of the tournament. We're not gonna restart the game because you have 2 hunts and the opponent has 1 hunt. Like, yeah, that sucks. You got screwed over. Like the map screwed you over bad. But this tournament obviously wouldn't work if you restart. There'd be so many restarts that the tournament just like wouldn't exist. So basically, I'm saying you're only allowed to restart a game if you do not spawn with a starting gold mine or a starting stone mine. So right, obviously that you just wouldn't be able to like, go up to H2, or it would be extremely broken. So yeah, just go into it with that mindset. Sometimes you will get the imbalanced map where it's really in favor for you, and other games you'll get the map balance where it's horrible for you. So you're right, it's not like it's always gonna be good for one person, it's random. So some games you're gonna be having a really bad map, and some games you might have a really good map. Signups are open, and you can sign up right now through my Discord. And yeah, that is the tournament. So yeah, once again, August 13th, starting at 17 GMT. Watch live on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/giveyouanxiety. Semifinals and finals on August 14th. Donation link will be down below in the YouTube video if you would like to donate and fund the event. Yeah, that's it. I'm super hyped. I hope you guys are excited. Let me know in comments if you are hyped and if you're excited for this, because I am. Thanks for watching, guys.